Alright class, today we're going to read Global Change by Theodore Snow. Many people think that the Earth never changes. Its oceans, mountains, and continents have been where they are formed for as long as people have been on Earth. But scientists know that the Earth does change. It has changed in the past and it will change in the future. By studying rocks, rivers, mountains, and seas, scientists can tell that the Earth was very different from when it was young. The Earth began about 4.5 billion years ago as a round ball of rock that was so hot that it was partly melted. At first there were no oceans. Gradually the Earth cooled and the outer layer became hard and rocky, but it stayed hot inside. As the Earth cooled, water was released from the rocks to form the oceans. Gases escaped from the inside of the Earth. These gases formed the atmosphere. At first, the gases in the air were different from the gases in the air today. Then about 3.5 billion years ago, the first forms of life appeared in the oceans. They were too small to see, but they gradually developed into larger and more complicated life forms. Plants and animals. The plants use sunlight and gas called carbon dioxide to make carbon and other gas called oxygen. Some of the oxygen formed a gas called ozone. A layer of ozone gas developed high above the Earth. This ozone layer protected the early life forms from harmful rays that come from the sun. Plants and animals could now live on land. Oxygen is the gas that humans breathe. Today, plants still make oxygen from carbon dioxide and sunlight, and we still have enough oxygen to breathe. The Earth has been changing along with the plants and animals. The Earth's hard outer layer, called the crust, is made of several huge pieces of plates that move around the dry land parts of the Earth, called continents, are slowly moving along with the plates they rest on. When the plates crash together, their edges crumple up, causing mountain ranges to form. There are earthquakes and volcanic eruptions where the plates meet. There have been great changes in the air and in the Earth's landforms since the Earth began. Our weather has changed many times as well for reasons that scientists do not fully understand. In the past, all the changes in the Earth and its weather were caused by natural forces within the Earth and by the natural things that plants and animals do. But today, new kinds of changes are being caused by things that people do. Some of these changes are bad for the Earth, making it harder for people, plants, and animals to live. Scientists call what is happening to the Earth global change. Scientists still do not know all the things that cause global change, but some things are known. We know that the weather can be changed by letting certain gases escape into the air. We know that the water in rivers, lakes, and oceans can be changed by chemicals that are poured into the water. We know that some kinds of plants and animals have already died out because people have ruined the places where they live. By building the houses to live in and using machines to make our lives more comfortable, we are making life harder for many other living things. The air that we breathe is made up of gases. Two of these gases are oxygen and nitrogen. There are other gases mixed in, but only in very small amounts. When sunlight strikes the Earth, its energy is changed into heat energy. The Earth and the air are warmed by the sun's rays. Any extra heat passes out into space. But some of these gases in the air trap the sun's heat and make the air warmer. This heating is called the greenhouse effect because the gases trap heat like the gas in a greenhouse. Like the glass in a greenhouse. One of these gases is methane. This gas is produced by the decay of plants underwater and by cattle and termites when they digest their food. Another gas that traps heat is carbon dioxide. Today, a lot of extra carbon dioxide is being released into the air when people burn things. Gas, oil, and coal are called fossil fuels because they form plants and animals that lived a long time ago and then were buried in the earth. Many factories and almost all cars burn fossil fuels. Fossil fuels release carbon dioxide when they are burned, so lots of extra carbon dioxide in the air comes from factories and cars. Burning wood also releases carbon dioxide. In South America, people are burning huge rainforests to make more grazing land for cattle to feed on. The fires give off carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases such as nitrous oxide. Burning these forests changes the environment. It destroys the homes of many animals, and it leaves the soil bare. Without the plant's roots to hold it, the soil washes away when it rains. Burning these forests is very bad for the earth. Scientists are sure that the extra carbon dioxide in the air will make the Earth's weather warmer, but they are not sure how much warmer the weather will become. In a few years, parts of the world that are comfortable now might be too hot, and parts that are cold now might be warm. It might become impossible to grow crops in some areas where they grow today. Also, the extra heat may cause some of the ice near the north-south poles to melt. This could make the ocean rise higher on the shores. By the year 2100, the oceans could rise 3 feet, enough to flood some coastal cities. Another gas that is present in the air is called ozone. Most of the ozone is formed very high up in the atmosphere, higher than the level where most airplanes fly. The layers of ozone protect us from harmful rays from the sun called ultraviolet light. Today, some chemicals that are being released into the air are destroying that ozone. These chemicals are chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs. They contain a substance called chlorine, which destroys the ozone. CFCs are used in the air conditioners, refrigerators, and some spray cans. When CFCs are used, chlorine can be released into the air. Chlorine in the upper air can destroy the ozone layer, allowing more ultraviolet light to reach the Earth. Scientists have found that there is less ozone over the north and south poles of the Earth than there used to be. This reduced ozone lets more ultraviolet light reach the ground. The ultraviolet light could cause an increase in skin cancer or eye disease. People, plants, and animals must have clean water to drink, and fish must have clean water to live in. But now it's getting harder to find enough clean water in some parts of the world. The water is polluted by chemical waste from factories and by garbage that people throw away. Floating trash is found on the oceans all over the world, and many rivers and lakes are so full of chemicals that fish cannot live in them. One of the worst things that can be spilled into water is oil. Huge ships carry oil across the oceans, and when one of these ships spills oil into the water, it does great damage to the environment. The water stays dirty for a long time, and the shoreline may be coated with oil for years. Many sea animals and plants are killed whenever there is a big oil spill. Heat can make water bad for fish and plants too. Some factories, especially power plants where electricity is made, pour hot water into streams and rivers. That extra heat can kill fish and water plants. Even the rain is not always clean. Some gases from factory smokestacks can turn rainwater into a mild acid that can hurt living plants and animals. This is called acid rain and has killed fish and plants in many rivers and lakes. Sometimes the acid rain falls hundreds of miles away from the factories that cause it. The place where a plant or animal lives is called a habitat. A habitat may be a forest or a river or a field or an ocean. When a habitat is destroyed, the plants and animals that live in it may die. People have destroyed many habitats by building houses, cities, and factories. Many kinds of plants and animals have become extinct when people have destroyed their habitats. Today, more habitats are being destroyed. Cities all over the world are growing bigger and spreading into the countryside around them. Pollution in the air and in the water is destroying the habitats of many kinds of fish and birds. Oil spills in the oceans have destroyed the habitats of fish and animals that live along the shoreline. The worst habitat destruction of all is the cutting and burning of the rainforests and the tropical parts of the world such as South America and Africa. No one knows how many different kinds of plants and animals live in these forests. Some of these plants and animals might give us medicines to cure diseases, but many of them may die before scientists ever find out about them. Every day, trees in the forest are cut down and burned. This is bad in many ways. Habitats are destroyed, carbon dioxide is added to the atmosphere, and the soil is washed away by rainfall after the trees are gone. Today, many people want the cutting of the rainforest to be stopped, but the farmers who cut and burn these trees want land for their cattle. A lot of bad things are happening to our earth today, but some good things are starting to happen too. Maybe the earth will not change so much. Scientists are not sure how much things people are doing will affect the earth. Maybe the earth will be able to stay among the same in spite of pollution and habitat destruction. Maybe some of the changes people are causing will help make the earth better to live in rather than worse. But we cannot afford to just wait and see. We must do as much as we can to stop the bad changes from getting worse. People are at least beginning to learn about global change. This will help us to stop doing the things that are bad for the earth. Many factories have stopped letting harmful chemicals get into the air and the water. Many people are recycling their trash instead of just throwing it away. Governments are trying to stop the destruction of the huge rainforests and the killing of plants and animals. Some rivers and lakes that were once too dirty for fish to live in have been cleaned up and now have as many fish as ever. Many countries have agreed to reduce the production of CFCs. Perhaps the greatest danger facing Earth is overpopulation. More and more people are using energy resources and taking more and more land for farming. Both of these activities add to the problem of global change. It will take a long time for people all over the world to stop doing things that are harmful for the earth. But maybe if we all try, we can keep the earth as it is, a wonderful place to live in. Alright, class. After reading that book, I want you to write down one thing that either interests you the most or bothered you the most or something that you didn't know before and learned. After you write that down, we're going to go to the library and find another book regarding that topic that you chose. After you pick that book, I want you to take it home and read it, and then tomorrow I want you to present to the class what you learned, a short summary of your book. Alright, let's go to the library.